we'll get you a shot here.
Good morning, folks. It is Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Coming to you live from the Andre Kitchen. A couple quick announcements today at 1:30. If you have a cat or a dog or some other furry friend, we have the pet blessing by the Andre statue up near the front of campus. If you attend, please bring your mask and we will be socially distanced during that time. The second announcement I wanted to make is on today's Tuesday. On Thursday at 1:30 we will be offering a Zoom class. So what you need to do is call the concierge, sign up with the concierge. Whatever device you plan to use with Zoom in general, we have instructions specific to that device. So iPad, iPhone, Android, or computer. And read those instructions just to familiarize yourself so that coming into that time frame, you're not walking in blind sort of thing. So the 15-minute slots during which we'll provide instruction is assuming you've got a foundation already built on Zoom, even if it's just having read the instructions. So happy to help get you connected with friends, family, and with residents here at Holy Cross. Without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Chef Tanner.
Good morning, everybody. Chef Tanner. Today we are going to prepare for you steak Diane. This is a classic French dish. A lot of favorites of people that I know. I've made this dish a lot in the past at restaurants and it's always a big seller. So we're going to bring it here to Andre Place and see what everybody thinks. So we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so to start out with, you are going to need one medium-sized skillet and several cuts of beef. I used a fillet or a beef Pismo that I trimmed down to my desired liking, width and length. And these are some nice little medallions here. We're going to cook these medium rare today. So we're going to start, we've got 4 small pieces here. I also have some beef fat I rendered from the trimmings from this beef. If you don't have fat to render and you just bought your beef at the store, you may also use clarified butter. But for flavor building purposes today, we are going to use this beef fat. So to start off with, we're going to go into our frying pan over here with about a tablespoon of beef fat. And we are going to get that melting down, medium-high heat. And while that process is taking place, it won't take very long to melt that down. If you've never worked with beef fat before, it's very similar to butter or any other source of, hardened fat. It'll melt right down, and we're using this today just because it's going to bring a little extra beef flavor to this dish. Anywhere you can incorporate extra flavor is great. So if you can sneak it in by using beef fat instead of butter, that's always a plus. Alright. Once that is melted down, and you can see your pan is at a reasonably high heat, it's important to get your pan up to temperature because to start off with, we're just going to sear the outside of this beef and pull some flavor off of it. We're not going to cook it all the way through in this beginning process. So you can see my little pieces of beef that were in the fat starting to bubble in my pan. So we're going to go ahead and go in with our pieces of steak. And remember, you're always dropping your steak away from you, so that way you don't get splashed. We're going to give these a quick sear on each side. It's going to be 2 minutes or less. Will not take very long. Now while that's happening, I'm going to bring you back over here to the cutting board, and we are going to prepare our shallots really fast. Now shallots have been described as almost a cross between an onion and garlic. So these are going to bring good flavor to your dish. A little heavier flavor than an onion. And we are just going to cut these in really thin strips. If you prefer them diced, you can dice them. You can, however you prefer to eat them. Traditionally, this is how I've always served it. So nice thin strips. And I'm going to turn back and check on our beef, give that a quick flip. Keep it on another 30 seconds. And we're going to prepare about half a cup of these shallots for our steak Diane here. All right, I think the beef is ready to flip. Now I can bring a piece of this over to you so you can see we're not cooking it all the way through. It's still raw on this side and just a nice brown sear on that side. That's all we're looking for. And our pan's on a high heat right now as we sear this beef. We want to sear it as quickly as possible. And we want our pan as hot as possible for the deglaze process we are going to perform here. So now we have our shallots cut, ready to go in the pan. You can go ahead and sift through them if there's any pieces that are too big. Give them a quick chop down to the size of your liking. And those will be ready to go in. You can see our beef pan is nice and hot back here. There's some smoke coming off of it. We'll aim you back here at the stove. And our beef should be nice and brown on both sides, but not cooked all the way through. So we're going to pull that off of our pan for right now. Looking beautiful. Now here's an important step in this steak Diane process is in the bottom of this pan, you'll see where our beef was sitting as it cooked. And you can see the outline of the beef. What you're seeing is the caramelization there where the beef was sitting. This is called souk it's a French culinary term. And this is where your flavor's at for this sauce. Outside of your beef stock, this souk is going to add a ton of flavor to your sauce. So you want nice brown spots like that. That shows you you're gonna have some good flavor. So again, we're gonna get that back in on a high heat. And we are going to go in with 2 ounces of brandy. Now you want to be very careful. There's going to be a flame. If you're going to do this at home, pull your pan off the stove, turn your heat down, cook it at a very low speed, so that way you don't have this huge flame in your house. But for today's purposes, I'll turn my stove off while I do this, and into our pan goes our brandy. And we're also going to go in with our beef stock now as well. Our shallots. We can go ahead and turn this back on and get it cooking down. Now we went in with about a cup and a half of beef stock. Could actually use a little bit more here. So we'll call it 2 cups total. And we will let this reduce by half. As it's reducing, we are going to toss in a big teaspoon of whole grain Dijon mustard. And we'll give that a quick mix. And we'll let it reduce. We can season with a pinch of black pepper. And I like to put a pinch of sugar in mine as well. You're letting this cook down. You're seeing some nice color. It's going to thicken up quite a bit, which is exactly what you're looking for. And we're still on a high heat. We can turn this down to a medium high. And we're going to go ahead and get our steaks back in there to finish cooking. Now at this point they're raw in the middle. There's just a sear on the outside. So we're going to drop them in this sauce and let them cook in here a little bit. This is also going to give your sauce a little more flavor while cooking your meat through just a bit more. Well, it's not going to take very long. These pieces are cut fairly thin, so thank you. You want to be mindful not to overcook them here. We're looking for a medium rare while our sauce is still reducing. At this point in time, you can go ahead and get ready to plate up. You're nearly done. Now, obviously, if you'd like your beef cooked a little more, you're going to leave it in the pan a little longer. But for today's purposes, we're going to do a medium rare. All right, our beef should be ready for a flip. And that beef cooking in that sauce is just adding so much flavor to it. This is one of my favorites. It helps to, if you have a spoon or something of the sort, some tongs, it helps to baste your beef with the sauce. Adds flavor, cooks your beef evenly, keeps it nice and juicy. You can see that our sauce has reduced down to about a cup now from our 2 cups earlier. We're getting really close to being done. Give your beef a press. Check the status of it. The little pieces are cooking, obviously a little faster than the big ones. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out at this time. Those should be done. We're going to set those off to the side and let them rest. Very important to let the meat rest so that way it retains its juices and its moisture. And these big ones we're going to give another minute or so, not much longer. It takes a lot of practice when cooking beef. There's no perfect way to tell you, oh, it's medium rare at this time, it's well done at this time. It takes a lot of practice. I can tell by how soft it feels, how squishy it is, that this one's still rare. This one's a little harder. This one's about medium rare now, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that one out. Let that rest. This one needs about another 30 seconds. And our sauce is now almost fully reduced. It's nice and thick, it's viscous. It is a term that we used earlier called nappe, which means sticks to the back of the spoon. As you can see, that spoon's coated nicely. So we're about done. You can go ahead and pull this last one out. And the final step in this process is to mount with butter, or the French term called monter au beurre. This is going to add richness to your sauce. It's going to help thicken it up as well. So I'm going to go in with a teaspoon of butter. And I've turned my heat really low at this point in time. We're not trying to cook this or reduce this anymore. It's to the point where we like it now. So basically we're just trying to melt this butter down to thicken up this sauce. And that will finish out our Diane sauce. Now all this time our steaks are resting. They should be ready to cut into. As soon as this butter melts, you can turn your heat off. Come back over here to our plating station. We have our beautiful cooked steaks here. A great accompaniment for this dish would be mashed potatoes. I've seen that served a lot. Any form of potatoes as a starch would be great with this. The sauce really pairs well with that. We have our Diane sauce here, nice and thick. Those shallots have cooked down beautifully. They're nice and tender now. And we're going to go right over the top of these steaks with that. And we'll give this a cut. Beautiful medium rare. And there is your steak Diane. Hope you like it.